Welcome into the Commanders Report. I am your host, Jack Sperry, and first up on today's show, a no-brainer move, quote-unquote, for Washington from Bleacher Report that a certain person at Bleacher Report thinks that the Commanders need to make this move immediately. Then, to finish up today's show, we do have an Austin Ekeler injury update after he had that really nasty concussion in Week 12 versus the Dallas Cowboys, so stick around for that. But before we get into the content today, make sure you guys like the video to kick off today's show. It really does help us out, guys, because it tells the YouTube algorithm that you're enjoying our content and that YouTube should push this video out to more Commanders fans like yourself. So if you want to help out the channel today, you're feeling a little bit generous here during the Christmas season, help out today's video by clicking that thumbs up icon to get us going. First thing up here for this video here is a no-brainer move from Bleacher Report's Matt Holder, who says it's quote-unquote a no-brainer to immediately extend linebacker Bobby Wagner for at least the next 2 seasons. Remember, Bobby is getting up there in age, but Matt Holder says that the Commanders should extend Bobby Wagner, not just for next season, but for future seasons as well. This is what he had to say when he was talking about this no-brainer decision for the Washington Commanders. He says Wagner is 34 years old and will turn 35 in July, but he's still playing at a high level, posting an impressive 83.7 grade from Pro Football Focus. Linebackers will be an off-season need for the Commanders if they don't re-sign the 10-time All-Pro, so might as well take care of that now. Now, my take on this entire situation, guys, is I'm very open to an extension with Bobby Wagner. He is definitely a huge locker room presence. He is the guy in that Washington Commanders locker room in terms of the leadership, in terms of the experience he brings to the table, all these different things. He is an ambassador for Dan Quinn's kind of culture here in Washington, and he's done a phenomenal job instilling this culture along with Dan Quinn and the other players and the other veterans in this group. But it does have to be for the right price, in my opinion. He's not exactly the same player he once was, especially in pass coverage, but there's still a lot of really good things about Bobby Wagner's game. First of all, if you keep him, you keep that continuity in this Washington Commanders defense at the inside linebacker position. Instead of getting somebody new and teaching them all the different things and the verbiage and all these different things, and you mess with the chemistry a little bit, having that continuity in the middle should certainly help things out a little bit if this team still thinks he can play past this season. Another thing is the veteran leadership and experience. We talked about that, man, and it helps more than just the linebackers in the linebacking room, man. It helps everyone on the defensive side of the ball. Helps guys like Jaden Daniels in terms of his leadership and growing his role as a leader in this locker room as well. And then the experience, man. This guy's seen everything. He's that calming presence in the huddle there for the defense, and he's definitely a leader in the middle of this Commanders defensive unit. Also, he's phenomenal as a run defender and then also as a blitzer. He is phenomenal in those areas, and he's still a very trustworthy tackler. Just this past weekend, he passed over 100 tackles for the 13th straight season. That is incredible. That not only points to his ability to really be a reliable tackler, but also points to him being reliably on the field and available for the team that he's playing for. So he's definitely a very reliable source in the middle of your defense. Now, the things that are negatives about re-signing and extending Bobby Wagner at this point in his career is that he is getting older, right? And there's certainly a possibility that he drops off even more than what he has this season and in previous seasons because, Father Time is undefeated. And then because of that regression physically for Bobby, the pass defense hasn't been as good. He can't cover guys in one-on-one coverage as well as he used to, and he's not quite as good or as shifty in zone coverage either. And at this point in his career, he's not the best pass defender in the world, all right? So that's definitely the negative to bringing him back for sure. But I do think the positives outweigh the negatives here in terms of giving Bobby Wagner an extension, especially if they pay him what they paid him this year. It was just over $6 million to bring him in here in Washington. If you do something similar or just a little bit less than that, I think that would be more than worth it for this Washington Commanders football team. For me personally, I'd be trying to get him for about $11 million total over the next 2 seasons. Now, maybe you just want to extend him for 1 season, and I would certainly understand that. With the guy he's getting older, all these different things. Maybe you don't want to give him a multi-year extension, but I do think it would be a good idea here for the Washington Commanders to consider this. But maybe because of his age, they want to let it play out a little bit, and then they'll see if they can get him back in free agency next offseason. So what say you guys? Let me know down there in the comments section. Should the Commanders lock up Bobby Wagner for the future? Would you extend him for a 2-year, $11 million contract right now? Bleacher Report says it's a no-brainer move. Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. Give me an S for sign or P for pass. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show. So YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. And when that happens, take advantage of that time. But let me know if you would lock up Bobby Wagner. All right, some other players that I think could potentially get extensions before the end of the season here. Now, it is getting later into the season, so maybe extensions won't be happening. But I think Dante Fowler Jr. has had a hell of a season this year. He's been a big-time impact player. I think he's been this team's best true edge rusher. Now, Frankie Louvu is kind of like a designated pass rusher in certain pass rushing sets, and he's been phenomenal as well, by the way. But Dante Fowler Jr. is probably the best true edge rusher that this Commanders team has had on the team. Dorrance Armstrong's been a little bit of a disappointment, and Dante has really been the guy providing that splash from that position. And I think that, if you give him a nice little contract extension here, as long as he's not asking for too much, I would like that a lot. Then Jeremy Chin at strong safety, he's had some really, really good games, but he's also had some really bad games, specifically these last 2 games. So maybe because of the recent history, you don't want to give Jeremy Chin an extension here. But these are 2 players that I really like and I really hope are on this Commanders defense come 2025. So coming up here on the Commanders Report, is it time to worry about Austin Ekeler? He took a really, really big hit, and he's having some pretty concerning symptoms after he had that concussion that ended up putting him on injured reserve. We'll talk about his injuries and my concerns with him moving forward here in just a second. But first, let's have a word from our sponsor here at GameTime, which is the fastest and easiest way to buy tickets for the sports, music, comedy, and theater in your area. And folks, we all know that experiencing a sporting event, especially a football game live, is unlike anything you can get from watching the game on your couch. GameTime Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. All right, GameTime Picks is super easy to use, guys. You just open up the GameTime app, find an event you want to go see. If you want to go see the Commanders go play at Northwest Stadium this year, you just click on that game, and then you select the GameTime Picks button, and it automatically filters through every single ticket in their database to find you the best tickets at the best prices with the best seats, so you and your family can get the best deals. And what I love about using the GameTime app is you get the lowest price guarantee on any ticket to any event, all-in pricing so you don't get slapped with a crazy fee at checkout, and flash deals so you can get even cheaper tickets the closer you wait to game time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with GameTime today. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS. It's one word, all caps, CHATSPORTS. It's right down there in the bottom right of your screen right now for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. You can create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off that first purchase. Download GameTime today. What time is it? Game time. So now, could Austin Ekeler potentially retire after that major concussion that he suffered in Week 12, kind of later in the game when he was returning a punt against the Dallas Cowboys? He has been describing a little bit here his symptoms and his concerns about his head and his mental health here moving forward recently. This is what he had to say here in terms of what he had to deal with just after he got that concussion. I didn't even remember how I got off the field. I just remember coming to, as far as remembering stuff, I had short-term memory loss. I remember my wife sitting in the room, and I'm getting evaluated by our medical staff in the back room. That's when I started to remember things, and then all of a sudden, okay, we're getting in the back of the ambulance to go get a CT scan. I was definitely concussed and seeing some major symptoms there. And then talking about what it's going to look like here in terms of recovery, he says it's going to be week to week. I want to continue to learn more. It's my second concussion this season. Am I more susceptible to a third now that I've had 2 and the severity of mine? It's a learning process for me because I've never had anything this bad and twice in the same season. The best thing about this is the team has my back. All right, and listen, man, when it comes to whatever Austin Ekeler decides to do moving forward, I'm okay with. It's his body, it's his life, and it's his career. So if he wants to retire, I'm perfectly okay with that. And if he wants to come back and continue to play football, I'm perfectly okay with that as well. And it does kind of sound like he does want to come back and play. I mean, he loves football. He's dedicated his life to it. So if he can come back and do it safely, I think we will see Austin Ekeler in the National Football League once again. And, this team definitely does have his back. So if he does want to come back, I do expect that he will play his next snap in the National Football League with the Commanders. Heck, it might even be this season. Now, obviously, he's on IR. He needs to miss at least the next 3 games. But when it comes to something like this, whenever you're dealing with head stuff and, with all the CTE stuff coming out, man, you can never be too careful. So if he wants to hang him up and he wants to call it a career, I'll have no issue with that whatsoever. And I will definitely thank him for his service here to the Washington Commanders and what he did for this team this season. But in the meantime here, the question becomes, with Austin Ekeler out of the fold, at least for now, can this run game sustain itself? Because plain and simply, guys, this offense really relies on the run game to get going. I believe the number right now is that if Jaden Daniels throws over 31 pass attempts per game, this team is like 1-5. And the one game that they won was the game against Chicago with the Hail Mary. But you guys take a look here at the depth chart and what they have. Brian Robinson Jr. is your true number 1. You still have that workhorse in there. And Chris Rodriguez Jr. had a really, really good game last week against the Tennessee Titans. Jeremy McNichols has certainly provided some splash as well. So with Austin Ekeler out, I still think you have some good depth here in this running back room, and I think that this run game is going to be just fine. And, the proof of that is that you went up against a pretty good front 7 there with Jeffrey Simmons and Harold Landry and some pretty good players there in Tennessee, and you're still able to put up almost 270 rushing yards with this unit without Austin Ekeler on the field. Now, would we love to have Ekeler back for the playoffs? 100%. He is such a weapon in the special teams department and then also as a receiving back out of the backfield, not to mention a number 2 running back. But, if you lose him for the rest of the season here, I don't think the season is lost. I think that the guys that the Commanders have in their room right now is enough to be a good enough football team to potentially even win a playoff game come January. So let me know down there in the comment section, what is your concern level for Washington's run game now that Austin Ekeler is going to be missing at least the next 3 games? Put it on a scale of 1 to 10 for me down there in the comment section to finish up today's show. And make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already. We provide you guys free and informative Commanders content here on the channel each and every day. So if you want to join our family today, go ahead and click that subscribe button. And until next time, guys, go raise some hail.